Wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for attending tonight. My name is Frank Murray. I'm the library director at the Itasca Community Library. Tonight's event, we're going to be featuring our Itasca Runners Club. They're going to be talking to us about how to start a fitness routine. Thank you guys for doing this. Before we jump into that presentation though, I just want to give a quick blurb about the library. As I was kind of talking with Jen beforehand, our physical space is closed, so we're reaching out to the community in other unique ways that we've done before in the past. We've got a new line of virtual programming events, and that spans all ages. We've got story times, crafts for the kids. We also have various events for our adults as well. So please take a look on our website, itascalibrary.org, for a complete list of those events. Just click on the calendar option there. So you can see those lists. In addition to our virtual programming, we also have a plethora of virtual resources, from databases to downloadable material. You can download and stream TV and movies, audiobooks, ebooks, and music as well. So check that out and stay in touch with us too. Follow us on our social media pages, as well as when you go to our website at itascalibrary.org, you can also check on our, trying to follow along with the chat too as I'm going along, it's not working. You can also sign up for our e-newsletter as well. So be sure you do that as well. All right, and one more blurb. So Itasca is a community that's very committed to helping each other. We have a very Itasca food pantry that is in need of some donations. Unfortunately, during this time, their resources are being expended, and we've teamed up with them to host a virtual concert fundraiser. And that's going to be this Saturday at 8 p.m. It's going to be live streamed from the library and the food pantry's Facebook pages at 8 o'clock. So tune in, enjoy some great rock and roll music from the band, the Rob Post Band. Thank you to them for doing that. And you can also make a donation too. There'll be a link on those pages where you can donate money. And it's amazing how much $10 can go. $10 will provide a family of 4, I believe, meals for up to 20 days. So it's really amazing how far that money goes to. They're a 501c3 organization, and it goes straight to providing food for families. So again, this Saturday at 8 o'clock. And back to the whole theme of community. That's why we're here tonight. We have a lot of community leaders here from the Itasca Runners Club who are experts in their field of fitness, and they want to share their knowledge with the rest of our community here. So, yeah, are you sure about that, Frank? Are you really sure? I believe you, Jerry. I mean, how many marathons? 130 plus?
Got to be an expert.
That's what it's all about. We're a community, and we're going to get through this COVID-19 pandemic together. And what better way to do it than through fitness and some great humor? So without further ado, I'm going to pass the torch to Mark, Jerry, and Jen. Again, thank you everybody for attending. Hope you enjoy tonight's presentation. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, Frank.
Oh, can I interrupt you one more time?
Yes.
I am also the question and answer master, so please submit your questions via the question and answer feature down at the bottom of your screen if you're on a laptop, or you can leave a question in the chat, which looks like Jen's already handled a couple of those questions, so we're good to go.
Yeah, right. I'm not sure those are fitness related, but well,
they are.
But at any rate, so I'm Mark Schumacher. This is, it's switched.
Oh, it's switched.
This is Jerry. Jerry, I was going to go like this. This is Jerry. This is Jen. Frank. It's like the Brady Bunch.
Yes.
So this is our, as Frank said, our attempt to bring some fun and levity, to this time of quarantine. And what we want to do is inspire you to a daily commitment to a fitness routine. And today we're talking about how to kick something like that off. We also want to drive home the importance of physical, mental, spiritual well-being. You know, it's a great way to deal with stress is to work out. And we want to share some laughs. Laughter also is a good way to deal with the pandemic. And that's the role of Jenny tonight. And we want to introduce you to some characters in the local world of sport. So just a quick word about the Itasca Runners. We've been around as a club since 2005. Under normal circumstances, we would meet on Saturdays at 7 a.m. at Starbucks in Itasca. Of course, we're not running during quarantine, but we encourage you to start a running program because sooner or later we'll be out of this quarantine, and everybody is certainly welcome to join us on Saturdays at 7 a.m. at Starbucks. And that's even a question if Starbucks is going to be reopening here in Itasca, but that will be our meeting place to start with. So today we're going to talk about starting a fitness program. And I think we'll try to focus it mostly on beginning running, but we all from time to time start new fitness programs, and whether it's starting to train for a 5K or the next marathon. And I think some of the principles are the same as you'll find. Jerry's going to give us a perspective starting out on a running program, how you might go about that. And then we're going to talk to Jen and interview her on what it's like, what her journey has been with running, or what her personal journey is with running. And we got a whole bunch of really fun pictures to share. So we'll spend about 30 minutes on that. And then the last 15 to 30 minutes will be questions and answers, the quality of which you will determine based on your questions that you enter into the chat. So there, get to it. Start entering questions and make them fun ones. Okay, so let's get into it. Jerry, what would you suggest for someone trying to start a running program?
Well, first of all, it's no better time than the present. We're not meeting together as a running club, and one of the best things about running is running with your friends. But you can run with the people you live with, and my wife and I have been walking a lot throughout this. We make it a goal to 3 miles minimum every day, usually a lot longer, but we take dogs for a walk every day. And we see a lot of people out walking their dogs and a lot of people running, and we're real careful to try and move to the other side of the street if we see somebody coming at us, or move, if there's somebody on the other side of the street as well, then we'll maybe move to the middle of the parkway and walk, so we can distance ourselves as much as possible. But definitely the best time ever to start running if you have never run before. With any fitness program, and especially running, for me, it's always been about setting really good goals. And a lot of people have it as a lifetime, bucket list thing to run a marathon. But it's probably not your best goal to just say, I want to run a marathon, and then how do I get from 0 to marathon? I would suggest it's better to set a short-term goal of some sort, like whether it be a 5K or a 10K or a certain amount of mileage by the fall or whatever, and use SMART goals. So I just Google search SMART goals today, and they have all sorts of really cool websites about SMART goals. You know what a SMART goal is? It's pretty simple, but it's just it's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So it's an acronym.
You had to look that up, didn't you?
Well, and sometimes it's like, not only I use it all the time at school with my students, but when you go to say it, I always forget one, so I printed it out. Anyways, but the thing with being specific, because a lot of people say, again, I want to run a marathon, or they want to start do this or that. It's better to break it down into chunks, make it more specific, make it measurable. Obviously, if you're going to do a 5K, it's measurable. Not just say I want to run more, or I'm going to go out and exercise more. So everybody says, or I want to lose some weight. You got to say I want to lose 10 pounds by, June 1st. Not just I want to lose some weight. Make it measurable. make it attainable. You know, you don't want to say I want to lose 100 pounds if you don't if you don't have 100 pounds to lose. Relevant and timely, you know. So, anyways, but by setting these short-term goals, then you accomplish that goal. Like right now, perfect timing would be set a goal to run the 5K. It's 5K in the fall, or any 5K. But you know, we put on a really good 5K right in Itasca, and that would be, if you haven't run at all, that'd be a great goal because it's October, you know. So hopefully everything gets you back to normal by then. But you know, and then, you know, again, if your bucket list is to run a marathon, it's great, but that should be more of a long-term thing. So, you know, maybe reevaluate in the fall and say, okay, can I do it next year? You probably can. Once you're, you know, running some significant miles, you can easily do it. Anybody can run a marathon. It's whether they put in the training and do things the right way. So.
Are there any good websites to
Oh,
consult?
yes. Well, there's a bunch. Runner's World, the running magazine, is awesome. But one of the best place to go for training programs is Hal Higdon. HalHigdon.com. You
Yeah.
put a link on there.
I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
And
So
it's-
Hal Higdon is old. There he is. You know, wrote for Runner's World for years. But the Chicago Area Runners Association has used Hal Higdon's marathon training programs. But look at that. He's got, you know,
It's a million
5K,
of them.
10K, whatever, you know. So if you're already running, great. Maybe you start with the half marathon training program. But base training, you know, yeah, and he's got really good schedules in there.
Let's open
So
this
don't
one
make
up.
like rookie mistakes and go out and just run every day, you know. He's got rest days built into the beginner program so that, you know, you run one day, take off the next day. Maybe you walk the next day or bike the next day, do something different. And you're not running every day. And it mixes up hard days and easy days. So the one day a week that you might add mileage and do a long run, you know, the next day you're going to recover and rest, you know. So, yeah, like on that one, he's got Mondays and Fridays rest days, you know, so you're running 5 days a week, you know. Where somebody that's a, you know, Olympic marathoner runner, they're running every day, but they still have easy days though, you know, or recovery days where they just go out and run a shag. So
And if I'm Canadian, kilometers, right?
good in kilometers, sure. There you go. Yeah, he's got one of the best because he's got so many different programs to fit wherever you're at. You know, that's a great website.
And if you don't mind me, Jerry, adding, he explains why he has the activity levels he does on different days. Most of those races happen on Sundays. So he has you calendaring your runs based on that target date. And he explains the reason for the distance on each date. And it's really helpful for you to understand why, as well as the what.
Great point. Yep, totally.
He does need to
He needs
update
something a little bit.
the LaSalle Bank.
Ah,
You know, LaSalle Bank is no
That's
longer around.
Bank of America now.
Good point.
They
It's
got it
been
up.
around for a while, though. That's just And then, Jerry, you start talking about Runner's World, and I'm going to go there next.
On the marathon. Yeah, it's been Bank of America since 2008.
Yeah.
Well,
Here's Runner's World.
Yeah,
Actually, I should-
those are both just awesome websites.
Yeah. Everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's not like trying to say, oh, look it up. But those are two good places that you know you're going to get good information because you gotta be careful when you search running or whatever. Be wary of anybody, you know, that's trying to sell you anything because you can find all these free programs out there. I'm not saying that, you know, you can't buy a good program from somebody, but there's so much out there that's free and available. You definitely don't need to spend any money on it.
Oh, yeah.
The good thing about running is the only thing you need to spend money on is next topic, shoes.
Yes. What do you have to say about shoes?
Well, we could talk for an hour about shoes, but it's a lot of personal stuff with shoes, and brand isn't as important as fit. Whatever fits you best is usually the best shoe. So I like New Balance. I run in Saucony. I run a Nike a lot just because I used to get free shoes from for the marathon for pacing. But I never really liked before that. Before I was getting them free, I didn't like them as much because they're narrower. And so I solved that problem by going up a half size in shoe size. So just make sure that you have a nice roomy toe box in the front, and and you've got almost a whole thumb width between your big toe and the end of the shoe. So a lot of people think that there's too big and your foot's going to fly around, slide forward and back, and that's not the case.
What do you think about ordering shoes online as opposed to our local running stores?
Well, the good thing about going to like a Dick Pond or something like that is they can fit you, they can get you on a treadmill, they can see your foot type, and those guys are experts at it. Unfortunately, right now, it's unavailable, and ordering things online are fine. With Amazon, you can always send them back if they don't fit. The big thing is fit. You want nice and snug in the heel and a nice wide toe box in the front. Like I said, I like New Balance, but my wife runs in Brooks and Asics, and she likes those a lot. And you want to spend, you don't have to get the best, most expensive pair of running shoes, but you don't want to buy cheap ones either. So somewhere in the middle. Unfortunately, the middle's usually around $100, 120 nowadays, which is sad for a pair of shoes, but
it is. Jen and Jerry both, how often do you change your shoes? Like how many miles?
When I used to be obsessed about running, I used to actually write the date on my shoe when I got them, and then, but usually you don't want to go over about 500 miles. If you're heavier like me and or bigger, taller person, you might want even less than 500 miles. Definitely not over that, because even though the outside of the shoe, I'm getting comments from. Oh yeah.
Because my heels are hurting me.
Yes, my wife says that. Yeah, I'm getting some feedback over here. Watch for the tread on the bottom if they wear unevenly. Some people, if you pronate or if you supinate too much, if you have uneven wear at all on your shoes, then time for a new pair. And then that also might be another reason to go to a specialty store and bring in your old shoes. That's a great trick. Bring in your old shoes with you. They can look at them. They can tell what's going on with your form. If the one side of your shoe is wearing a lot more than the other side, you're overpronating or you're supinating or whatever, and they can, find a better shoe for you. So that's a good trick.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Jen?
No, not really. I tend to keep my shoes longer than I should because I really like, when I find a shoe I like, I stick with it. And I've had a hard time the last couple years. So I'd say I probably hold on to mine about 6 months at this point, but I'm not running that many miles either. So I try to not go more than 9 months when I'm not running much, right? Which at this point is, 10 miles a week at the most. So the fit is really the key. That Jerry's right. It doesn't matter what the brand is. It doesn't matter what the price point is. If it fits and it works for you and it doesn't give you problems, that's the biggest consideration.
You pull out the insole and take the magic marker, write the date you got them in there, put the insole back in there, and then you can always.
Oh yeah, good idea.
That's why he's the expert.
Well, I've seen people write them on the outside, and it's like people really don't.
I know, and then you run in the water. Hey.
Yeah.
All right. Not to just talk only about running, but what about other fitness activities? What are some good combos that go well with running?
Well, I'll tell you, I have my PR in the marathon when I was triathlon training, and so I was the most fit ever when I was triathlon training. And the awesome part about swimming being non-impact and biking being non-impact, they're really good for your recovery days. So anything that's non-impact on your recovery days, on your easy days, to cross train is you don't want to be running, 5 days a week and then playing basketball 2 days a week. You want to do something that's lower impact on those days, on your recovery days. So biking and swimming are great for that. Yoga is great for that. What else do we do? I want to start rollerblading again. I've been cleaning out stuff around the house, and I found my old rollerblades. I want to get out as soon as the weather gets a little nicer.
Yeah.
Your brother likes ballet, as we discussed in the last episode. Can a person overtrain?
Definitely. Yeah, so definitely when you first start out, I mentioned this last week, is we call it the 10% rule. You know, you don't want to add more than 10% mileage per week. That's a Hal Higdon-ism from that website we're talking about. But obviously not going to be precise, because if you're only did 6 miles last week, what's 10% more? You only run a sixth more of a mile. No, but I mean, on average, don't ramp up too quickly. And then again, stressing some type of a schedule where you have those rest days, recovery days, hard days, EV days. A good thing to do too is if you had a particularly hard workout, or if you're feeling sore, I call it the trial mile. Go out and start running if you're planning on doing 3 miles that day. If you're not feeling better after the first mile, and you're still feeling sluggish in recovery, maybe pack it in for the day. Maybe walk home. And so really listen to your body, especially when you're starting out. I think that's one of the biggest things people make mistakes at, is they go out too hard, end up getting injured, and then they give up on their program and say, running sucks, or it's
Yep.
too hard on my body or whatever.
Yep.
And so, over the years of running, you would not believe all the people that would say, "Don't your knees hurt? Doesn't this hurt?" That I'm like, "I've been doing it 26 years. My knees are fine. My knees still feel great. I have an Achilles tendon problem now, but knees feel great, joints feel great. Don't have any of those issues."
Right.
And then last question, kids running. What do you recommend for kids? Should a kid train for a half marathon? At what age do you think a kid's body is ready to go that kind of distance?
There's been some issues, some discussions about growth plates, things like that. Generally, people have said that until the growth plates close, you shouldn't do super long stuff. Maybe but I think probably almost up to the half marathon distance. I've heard, of course, of kids doing it, pretty young. But they got plenty of time to add distance as they get older. The biggest thing about kids running programs is keep it fun, keep them interested. Don't overtrain them, it varies from age to age, from kid to kid, as far as their maturity, their physical maturity level, at different ages. So it's hard to really put an age at what mileage is. I would obviously, any special concerns, health concerns with any child, refer to their pediatrician about it. But generally speaking, I wouldn't, if I had a son, I wouldn't push him into doing halves or marathons until, probably junior high, if they wanted to. But I've definitely heard of people doing it younger, and I don't think it's not any.
It's been a big discussion lately in the last 3-4 years.
I'm sorry, there's been what?
It's been a big discussion the last 3-4 years. I mean, you're right. You've got to respect the developing physical body and emotional body, because distance running takes an emotional toll, and it's not easy in any respect. And it depends on the individual, but I think that we have to respect the fact that their bodies are still developing, and your body depletes itself of vital nutrients and minerals throughout physical exertion. So you have to be respectful of that, because their bodies need that in order to grow and get better at what they're training for. So you kind of have to wait a while, but kids develop at different ages and stages. I just think it's more important to wait and err on the side of caution.
I would agree 100%.
All right. To kind of bring some levity here, Jen, let's talk about you.
That's his favorite subject, so let's jump in.
Let's start with the good one.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about your journey in running.
Yeah.
And when did you start running regularly? Were you always a runner? Kind of tell us how the journey started.
I was never a sporty spice. I ran a little bit in gym in high school because I was supposed to. and I was apparently kind of good at it, but I didn't really know what I was doing. And I just did it because it was gym class. And then in college, I ran with a friend. We would do the stadium, the basketball stadium. We would run the steps all the way around, and we were located on a large, what I called a mountain, but it was a hill. We would run up and down. I mean, we just did it just stupidly. But I never really took it seriously as far as something as a goal or anything to really do for fitness. We just did it. It occupied our time. And then once I graduated and came home and started working, I would run here and there, nothing serious. And then after I had kids, I ended up, my journey began in 2009. We'll go there. And I was a mother of 2 at this point. My kids were really little, and I started seeing a therapist because I basically melted down and could not function. And throughout that journey itself, she tasked me with leaving the house once a day and allowing my family, my husband and kids, to develop their own relationship, and me to detach from that and find myself again in a way. And I had to leave the house for an hour once a day. I could not grocery shop, do things for my family, yada, yada, yada. So
Wow.
and this was in the winter. This was like January, I want to say, 2000.
You can't yada 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 over the best part.
2009 or 10, right? Not to bring it down. But anyway, she said, leave the house. So I was going out to like a Panera and I was reading a book. I'm not good at doing things alone. This was frightening. This was terrifying. I did not know what to do. Go for a walk? You can't go to a park in January and read a book, right? Anyway, throughout that process, I got more comfortable with doing these things. And later that year, my friend challenged me to, hey, I'm doing this 5K. I just quit smoking and I want to set an example for my kids. I'm going to do the Frontier Days 5K in July. Would you do this with me? And I just kind of laughed. I went, oh my God, you're so funny. That's hilarious. Well, I did it. And that was July of 2010. And I finished. Time notwithstanding, thank God there were garbage cans at the finish because the dry heaves were heavy at that point. And at the finish, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die. This sucks. And of course, the adrenaline comes forth later. And I went, I can do better than that. Are you kidding? I walked a little and I still did that. I could do better than that. So I set out. It was nice out at this point, right? So I'm, not having to go sit in a Panera anymore. Started to run on weekend mornings. And I took that same time I had been using prior to this to go somewhere, and I replaced the place with running. And I ran by myself. I got my little iPod and I set up playlists with music, and I would run by myself and a mile at a time. I had done a 5K, but I was like, I'm just going to run. And there was a website called walkjogrun.com or .net. And I would map out from my house areas around me and determine how far it was. And I would just go there and I would finish and go, oh, okay, whether I walked part of it or not. And wow, that was amazing. I went, oh my God. That year I set out to do, with a couple of friends, to do a 5K every month. So I had done one in July. We set out to do one in August. And that was the year that we did our first Oktoberfest, put on by the Itasca runners. And every month, my time either improved or stayed the same. But because I was doing this once a week on the weekend mornings, I thought, oh my God, this is pretty cool. And then fall set in and the days got shorter, and I wanted to continue this and not have to go out just on one weekend morning. So I went to the park center by my office and started to use the indoor track there because it was free. And I ran into a guy there who encouraged me, or tried to encourage me at the time, to go to Harper College in the spring on Wednesday nights because they have this great group and they do these track workouts. And I was like, track workouts? Good job. And long story short, I did a couple nights a week at the Park Center throughout that winter. And the following spring, I was going back outside, and then we had a blizzard. And wow, that's a buzzkill. I can't be outside anymore when it's nice out and it's getting brighter out. But I overcame that. I got through it. And that later that year, I found Harper College, and I went to the track, and that was scary as shit. Like I said, I'm not the sporty spice. I was never an athlete. I was never a runner. And I thought, oh my God, this is crazy. But this guy at the Park Center, he had been telling me, oh my God, they're great. They encourage everybody. They're awesome and they're fun. And you've got to go. And it's only once a week and they do different stuff. And okay, fine, I'll try it. And I did. And later that year, I joined the fast track racing team. Oh boy, was I in for a ride. Holy cow. Not only did I improve my 5K performance and my overall fitness in 2010 by doing just a 5K every month and then running once on the weekends, but then in 2011, when I continued that by adding my couple weeknights at the Park Center and then outside on my own, then I joined this racing team, and I thought, oh my God, this is cool. And I noticed that I was able to do more for longer, and wow, this is really fun. This is really cool. And there's other people that are crazy like me. Maybe not as crazy, but they're crazy like me. And that's kind of how I started. I started out going to therapy, and I replaced my therapy with my own therapy of running. And that's the beginning of the whole story.
Well, I would say that for all of us, running is therapy.
Yeah.
I mean, in all seriousness.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have issues to deal with, and
It's not a cliche.
very brave of you to tell that story.
Not a cliche.
But just to let everybody know, I think we all use running as therapy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But to kind of maybe lighten it up a little bit,
Yeah.
I have a picture from your past.
This is your life?
This is your life through running. Yeah.
Jen, can you explain the apron that you're wearing in this picture?
I'm not sure there's a really good explanation. However, the Oktoberfest 5K happens every fall, and the Itasca runners put on this little 5K in this quaint little town called Itasca. And the club gets together every year. We put this little race on, and the morning of the race, we show up and we try to make it fun. And one of our club mates, Dawn, has a friend who had all these aprons for Oktoberfest. And she laid them out on a table, and Irene and I said, hell yeah, we're putting that shit on.
Yep.
And I kind of thought it was representative of the body I had achieved at that point. Or maybe not. Either way, I wore the hell out of that thing for a long time. It made several appearances.
Good looking
Right.
group, especially the guy next to you.
Yeah, right? What a hottie right there.
I mean, are you talking about the one to the upper right?
I have the yellow shoes.
That is Marty.
Oh, and Marty too. Yeah.
Or the upper left?
Oh yeah, look at him.
So what's this picture?
So I had a period of time where I decided I was going to race in pigtails all the time. I had kind of longer hair, and this was one of those events. This was the Elmhurst 4 on the 4th, which happens on the 4th of July every year. It's a 4-mile race, and my friend Donna and I, there in the matching singlet, were probably coming up near the finish at this point, and decided to put on pretty faces. That was fun.
Yeah, don't worry about that little girl beating you. That's okay. She
No, I was taking her out. I made
probably
sure
cut
there
the
were
course.
elbows.
He probably
There
cut the
was
course.
no, honey, your little ponytail is not taking me down. No.
What's going on here?
That's your honey bunny.
This was probably 2012. So this was the Eggshell Shuffle put on by a couple of teammates of ours, Jackie and Ryan Giuliano at the time. It benefits or benefited JDRF, the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation. And Fast Track was one of the teams. This was one of our team races. And this is myself and a couple of teammates. The Easter Bunny ran with us for a while. Yeah, that was fun. That was a good time. So one of the things that I decided I needed to do is pass on a tradition of fitness into my kids. And our grade school, while my daughter was there, thank goodness, they had a Girls on the Run club. And Girls on the Run is a nonprofit organization for 3rd through 8th grade girls. And they provide training programs that empower girls. They give them, it's more of a self-confidence and positive image program that culminates with a 5K held throughout the area. And I did this with my daughter twice, and my husband ran her 3rd one with her. And it is so much fun for the kids. They absolutely love it. And one of the best things I ever did was run this with her. She had such a great time. The reason my husband ran the 3rd one with her was because she said I yelled at her too much and I wouldn't let her walk as much. And Daddy did. So there's that.
Fast Track.
This was at Oktoberfest one year. I mentioned that I started with Fast Track, and the segue to Itasca was that as I began to run more, I mentioned that I had been running at my local park district in the evenings, and I wanted to put in more with groups. Once I found a group, I thought, oh my God, I can't do my weekends alone anymore. And someone guided me to the Itasca Runners. They meet every Saturday morning in downtown Itasca, and that's how I connected with the group. Is I showed up one morning and I thought, I don't know who I'm looking for, and I showed up, and Fast Track and Itasca have always been a big, one big family for me, particularly, but I'm not the only one. There's a lot of cross contamination between the groups. And we even run with each other's doggies in the winter,
That's in front of
Riley,
Starbucks.
Great Dane, when he was brand new. He's so cute. I just love running with dogs. So
This one-
when I first, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
When I first started running, people would talk about marathons, and I thought, why? Why do you do that? Is someone chasing you? Did they pay you? Are you possessed? What's going on? Finally, I got the bug. This was my 2nd marathon. This was in Grand Rapids in 2014, and we did a runcation, as I like to call them. A lot of us from the club ran the Grand Rapids Marathon. It has a half marathon and a full marathon, and we mixed it up. Some of us did the full, some of us did the half, but yet all of us who ran ended up in the med tent. And we almost asked for naming rights for the med tent, to call it the Itasca Runners Club med tent, and we didn't get it, but it's okay. We took it all up. It was fine. And everybody recovered fine.
Soldier Field.
One of the biggest things that I found with with running clubs is it's like a family. I really find that I enjoy the camaraderie and the things that we all have in common. With Itasca, I found a group of people. It's a smaller group than the Fast Track group, but we are a group of people who most of us have families, and getting up early in the morning on a Saturday allows us the rest of our day and to be energized and be with our families and participate in things like the Soldier Field 10 miler, which is right here. It's just an amazing opportunity to be with everybody. And this is Fast Track after one of the Elmhurst 4 on the 4th. It's another large family. I really can't name it anything else. We get together after this particular race and we barbecue and we hang out, we play music, we play games. There's a slip and slide family show, and things like that. It's just a lot of fun. This picture is from the Naperville Women's Half, I think a couple of years ago. This is where I PR'd in petting dogs. So at that 13.1 miles, I believe that I petted over 30 dogs along the course, and it was amazing. There were some really great dogs. I'm telling you, you want dogs, go to Naperville. Of course, my dog is the best, but we talked about Starbucks earlier, and the Starbucks in Itasca is slated to close in 2020, and it has shuttered its doors due to COVID-19. We're not certain or confident that it will reopen, but it is one of the places that we find solace. And after each run, we get to hang out, we get to talk, we get to share, and it's more than running. It's sharing, it's talking about our weekend, our last week, it's everything, and enjoying good coffee that will help us bear the thought of going home. And there's Rose and Joe. So this was at Oktoberfest last year or the year before. I don't know. You know, today is what day? It's just this I wanted to show. It's another example of family, and anything that you join, whether it be a run club, a sewing club, a knitting club, chess club, it's all about the people. This was, oh God, this was from 2012. This was the finish after a Ragnar race, and a Ragnar is a relay race. It's a 200-mile relay race. We had a 12-man team, 12-person team, and this was after we were done drinking copious amounts of beer and eating pizza. Because what else do you do after running? You just spoil your body. And my two families are the Itasca runners and the fast track racing team. This picture really shows the bond that the two groups have. This is three runners. The two on the outsides are Itasca runners, and Kathy in the middle. So Sally Ann's on the left, Jimmy Tubbs is on the right, and Kathy Barlow is in the middle. And Kathy's a fast track runner. Jimmy and I both run with Itasca and fast track. This was their finish at the Boston Marathon a couple years ago. And they found each other on the course and they finished holding hands. And it just goes to show that it doesn't matter who you are, who you run with, or who you hang out with, you can do this together. If you've ever wanted to figure out how to make a 13-mile race, like a half marathon, into a 10-miler, you're going to run with this guy in the red. You're going to run with Tommy Pizzo. And he's going to tell you how stupid running is the whole time.
That he will.
This is bullshit. Who does this? This is fun. This isn't fun. What the hell is this? Anyway, Tommy makes it fun. And if you ever need a core workout while you're going on a run, you want to run with Tommy, because your abs are going to get a workout from all the stories he tells and just laughing your ass off while you go along. And it makes the miles just go. Honestly, you just don't know how many miles you've run with him after a few minutes.
So that's the end of our pictures. But Jen, that was
that's too bad.
really good sharing. So anyways, thank you for all that very personal viewpoint of your journey.
You're welcome.
So now we go into the Q&A portion of our call.
Mm-hmm.
So Frank, what
I'm here.
do we have in the Q&A?
I'm here. Hello. I'm back.
Frank?
Yeah, so we got a couple questions that have come in. The first one we'll start off with, I think Jen answered it very well already, but maybe you guys can add to the importance of this. But you recommend finding a friend to train with?
Yeah.
And we talked about family, and I mean, I think the answer is yes, but
I think it's kind of personal. I know a lot of people who prefer to run alone, and they prefer to have earbuds or play music or listen to books on tape or whatever. think it's your personal preference. I personally, once I found running, I started out running by myself. Once I found a group, I can't go back. I thought I was going to run during this quarantine. I thought I'm going to do 2 miles a day. That's nothing. I can't do it. Like by myself. Oh no. I get bored. I walk. I turn around. I go home. I can't. It's just very difficult. It's a little more mind over matter, but I personally prefer to find someone to go with. It's the conversation. It makes the time go by faster. If you prefer to run alone, run alone. By all means, whatever it takes to make, oh my God, look at that dog. Run with a dog. Run with that dog because he's so cute.
I just wanted to show you one of my running partners. Yeah, running with dogs is great. They love it. The only problem is you kind of can't worry about pace too much with running with dogs because they like to snap and sniff and everything. Yeah. So you got to get the right harness if you're going to run with your dog.
Yeah.
They don't jerk you off. And they, yeah, especially for long runs, running with friends is the best. I'm in like 6 different running clubs, but Itasca, usually I'd run at Itasca on Saturday mornings and then Glen Ellen runners on Sunday mornings. And I just love doing long runs, especially with friends. And then track workouts are the best with a group because it makes it easier.
Yeah.
It's so hard to run around the track and so you feel like
Work is so hard by yourself.
So.
I always hear people say, I'll come run with you guys when I get in shape. And I always say, why don't you run to get in shape? And I don't know if you have a perspective on that, but people I think are scared they're not going to be able to keep up, which is legit, totally legit.
Oh yeah, sure. You should never be intimidated by that. It's just natural. Everybody, has insecurities and feels, uncomfortable about things, meeting new people and whatever. But 99% of all runners are just the coolest people in the world. And they've all been there at some point starting off running. And so, and there's usually people at all speeds anyways. And so usually somebody can keep up with it. If not, nobody's going to be like, worried about it. You want to shorten the course and take a turn early or whatever, you're welcome to, or run part of it, walk part of it. And that's what's great about the running club. And the way we do our Itasca run is a loop, and there are places you can cut the course and go short, go back early, and you're never that far from the start. So even if God forbid you got injured or something like that, you wouldn't be far from the Starbucks. Thank God.
Jerry made a great point last week, I think, or when we were discussing before we even launched anything. I swam in high school. And I loved it. It was the greatest thing. But Jerry's like, running offers you a unique opportunity. Like, this is a social thing. You can run with somebody else where when you're in the water, that's it. It's just you. And I really benefit from someone telling me, hey, let's push it. Let's go faster. And, that's what you get with running when you have somebody. And, of course, practicing social distancing, you can still achieve that too. So.
Well, it's funny, too. You run along with friends and you're talking and people that don't run at all, they're like, what? You're talking? How could you be talking?
Right.
And that's kind of one of the ways that you're running the right pace. If you can talk, you're running the right pace. If you can't talk at all, you're running too hard. And if you can sing, you're running too easy. It's a really good, so people, if you're huffing and puffing that much, you're just going too hard and you're making it too hard on yourself.
So talking about people who are struggling, we keep getting letters and packages. This time we got a package.
Nice.
And I don't,
Ooh.
it's a pair of our race socks.
Oh. I was like, what is that?
Mark and Jerry, I'm giving up on running. Between plantar fasciitis, black toes, and piriformis syndrome, I can't take it anymore. The quarantine is also giving me fits with my figure. I can no longer fit into my 2.5-inch split shorts. Since my 50th birthday, it's been all downhill, adding insult to injury. Encloses my prized pair of Itasca Oktoberfest 5K socks, the one thing in this world that gives me hope and a future. Regards, Marty Von Druska. Wow. It's a cry for help.
It is.
What would you all suggest?
I was
Marte?
shifting. I wasn't laughing. That was tears. Sorry for
That was great.
That was
Actually,
awesome.
plantar fasciitis is one of the worst running injuries to get.
I can't even, it's
Very-
one of the worst living
Can you
injuries.
explain plantar fasciitis?
Well, yeah, there's this fascia that's on the bottom of your foot. That's why it's called plantar fasciitis. But it basically connects from your heel to your toes, kind of, and it supports your arch. And it's one of those idiopathic injuries where meaning that it can be an overuse injury, but a lot of times people get it and they don't really know how they did it. So it's very frustrating. It takes a long time to heal. Sometimes, it'll come back, like people think they recover from it and then it comes back again. Some of the things that people have found help with is night splints, basically because it tightens up while you sleep. A lot of times people, your ankle's kind of like this. And if you're sleeping, it's like this all the time, it's tightening up, so if you keep it up like this. So I often tell people just, if you don't want to go out and get the night splint, is just pull the covers out of the end of your bed so that the pressure from the covers isn't pulling your feet down like this, so that just gives your feet room to, and they actually, I've also seen these little things that you stick under your mattress, a little bar, and it holds the covers off a little bit off of your feet. So the weight of the covers isn't pulling your feet down this way. I actually just got a night splint because of my Achilles tendonitis, but and the way that a night splint will work for you, if you get out of bed every morning and it hurts a lot and then it gets better as the day goes on, that's when you need a night splint. Basically keep that stretching throughout the night, because what's happening is tighten up overnight and you get up and you're limping and it's so tight, and then as you loosen up and walk throughout the day, it gets better. If that's the case, night splint will work pretty well.
I think also, I think what's worked for me is going from a neutral shoe to a stability shoe.
Yes.
I mean, I think that sometimes it's just as easy as changing shoes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a vanity thing too. People want to run in neutral shoes, and the whole barefoot movement, and it causes plantar fasciitis sometimes.
Yeah.
Mark, that kind of segues into one of our next questions is, what about when you're selecting your shoes? You guys have a place that you recommend to go to a store? Like beginner runner mentioned that, they normally go to like a shoe carnival and they're not sure that 17 or 18-year-old that's working there might be able to help them find the right running shoe for them. Where would you guys recommend?
I definitely don't recommend a big box. Not that a Dick's Sporting Goods doesn't have a staff member who's knowledgeable, but a local running store with a treadmill in the facility, who can actually watch the way you operate when you're running, they can make a huge difference. And Jerry mentioned earlier, bring in your shoes that you're currently wearing. If you don't run already, bring in your street shoes, whatever you normally wear, because that'll also give them an idea of the wear pattern on the bottom of your shoe when you walk, when you operate. And then they can put you on the treadmill to see how that corresponds to what the wear pattern on your shoe is. There's a few local running organizations in the area. There's Extra Mile in Schaumburg. There's Dick Pond in various locations. They have, I think, 5 in the area. There's others, but definitely try to go to your more local place. They're generally owned and operated by someone who is familiar with triathlons, running, swimming, something like that, and they are more versed in what you're looking for than just, we sell running shoes and these are the walking shoes and these are the cross trainers, and trying to hit a number for a vendor. They're going to be more interested in putting you in the right shoe based on what they see in your performance.
Hey, you kind of get what you pay for. Okay.
Yeah, and Jerry alluded to it earlier. It's not cheap sometimes, but if it's the right solution for you, it'll prevent you from having to spend money down the road to either get a different shoe, get physical therapy, be off your feet, when you don't want to be. There's a lot of stuff that it can prevent. And I guess it's like getting an oil change in your car. You can keep up with it, and every 3,000 miles, it's another $60, or 10,000 miles down the road, you're buying a new engine. It's a matter of priority, I guess.
Any other questions?
We have a couple more. We have 2 more questions. So if anybody else is looking to ask any, please use the question and answer feature down there or the chat. Jen will be happy to answer questions about her drink. Okay, so this is a serious question. Dan has a question. It's very serious about what do we deal when we're running chafing issues? What do you guys have you can recommend? And remember, we do have children listening, so let's remember to keep it PG. But
Family show.
what do the experts recommend?
Jerry?
There's a product
Who
called,
wants to tackle that one?
there's a product called Body
I know what
Glide.
I prefer. What do you prefer?
Yeah. There's a product called Body Glide that works pretty good. You can put it on just like deodorant on your armpits. You know, the only place I
Vaseline.
really ever get chafing bad is my armpit hair rubs like wool under my arms after a while, and I get it really bad right there. And not to be too, but I actually just kind of trim my armpit hair with a clipper that I use to trim my beard. But that way it's not so much steel wool under there when you're running. And so there's other products, and people, it's kind of trial and error for what works good for you. There's a thing called stuff called Aquaphor, which is amazing for healing any skin irritation anywhere. Aquaphor is kind of expensive. I just was looking at the store today, but Aquaphor heals up just about anything. So if you get an irritation anywhere, Aquaphor works great on blisters, on any type of little irritation. I got to put some on it.
And sometimes compression shorts too. In all seriousness, wearing
problems other places. A lot of people wear the compression shorts under their running shorts.
Right.
Yeah.
I like a product called Squirrel's Nut Butter. It comes in a stick. It comes in a little chapstick type container where you can just kind of dig into it and rub it where you need it. But I've found really good success with that, and it has a nice little smell, or it comes unscented, but it's really smooth, and you can use it anywhere. You can use it under your arms. You can use it for the chub rub. You can use it where your sports bra makes contact, or your shorts maybe, but it isn't greasy. So one of the things that I always had a problem with was using Body Glide and getting in my car. I had leather seats, and whoa, not a good combination. But the Squirrel's Nut Butter, I haven't really had that issue. I don't find myself sliding around in my driver's seat as often, if that makes any sense.
So we'll look forward to seeing Dan without a little hitch in his gait.
Right?
So,
Exactly.
now that we've provided solutions, multiple solutions, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a great one for all those that are just starting out to, with a fitness routine, what's this? What's happening? How do I fix it? Yeah.
Do you remember there was a marathon commercial from the London Marathon a few years ago, classic commercial. It was the day after the marathon. And do you remember that? They'd show people, with chafing, like this one guy had bloody spots on his dress shirt. There was another guy who was like trying to get on his motorcycle. It was hilarious, but it was like kind of a congratulatory commercial for the London Marathon.
Yeah.
So if you Google that,
Yeah.
you'll find, I'm sure,
sure.
that commercial. It's the classic.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So,
any other?
Yeah, Mark, the last one. This is the last one. This one's for you. Have you ever been told, and this is a funny one, I think you'll get a good laugh out of this one. Have you ever been told that you look like an older Paul Schaefer from the Late Night with David Letterman?
All the time.
Yeah.
At least not Chris Elliott, the man from Under the Seats.
Under the Seats, yeah. I think that's a compliment, Mark. Right?
That means next webinar you need to come with your keyboard.
All right.
Magic fingers, Mark.
Yes. Paul Schaefer.
Oh, I love it.
Wonderful. Guys, that's it for questions. Do you guys want to end with any final comments about starting a fitness routine or any final thoughts?
I think whatever you do, just find something that you enjoy doing, whether it be walking, something that you can do every day, and set a time, set a schedule, and like Jerry said, set a goal. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to run a 5K and just go try and run 3.5 miles or whatever, and just go do it. Just set yourself some time every day to do and practice toward that goal. And whether it be, I want to be able to touch my toes, okay, I'll do that in 3 weeks. And every day I'm going to, do some yoga or do these different exercises, whatever it is, set aside some time, just set a goal, and then try and figure out how you're going to reach that goal a little bit every day. Slow and steady wins the race, whether you're learning to read, learning a new language, learning to run, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be running. It can be anything. Just move your body a little bit. Go out for 30 minutes a day, take a walk around the block, walk your dog, let your dog walk you, as in many cases, or whatever. And start slowly. Don't shoot for the moon and go for the moon. That's not a good way to do it.
Yeah, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. So start making some plans and sticking to those plans and set some goals and working things out so that, you don't look back at when you have to go back to work and realize you just wasted, the time, the precious time. You can look at things negatively or you look at it positively. What can we do with all this time we got? This is the great opportunity.
This is the ultimate reset.
Yeah.
This time it's what do we want to emerge from this as, like
total message, I need to hear myself. I think everybody's going through it. In the beginning, it's like, oh, cool, I get to work from home, or damn, I got laid off from my job, or, Jerry, I can't see my students, and then you set into a routine, and then you're like, this is cool. I don't have to do anymore. I could go out at lunch. It's kind of cold. You got to overcome those mental blocks and really just dedicate yourself to doing it. That's me.
You need to do better.
Right? Hello. Recording this, right? So I can replay myself saying that.
So anyways, Frank, we appreciate the opportunity that the library has provided to do one of these webinars, and we're going to keep these up. So next week we're not going to do it next week due to a scheduling conflict, but we're going to come back in 2 weeks. And we're looking at a yoga / meditation topic, and more details to share.
Very cool.
Namaste, bitches.
Yes.
And that's Wednesday, April. Wednesday, May 6th, right?
May 6th.
Wow,
Wednesday, May 6th.
Already?
Yes.
I thought it was already going to be 2024.
So
Sorry.
Awesome.
stay tuned for more
Thank you,
details.
Runners Club. Thank you guys for sharing
Thank
your
you,
starting fitness
Library.
routine. Thank you guys very much. And
Thanks,
thank you to
Frank.
all who attended. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope everybody's staying safe, staying healthy, and getting outside.
Yes.
Getting past those mental breaks. Let's go. Find a friend or a dog and run. That's all I got. There we go. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Bye-bye.